and welcome to Inner Circle Guidance. Today we're going to be doing a collective reading, but for those of you who are new to the circle, hello and welcome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I post new videos every single day. If you're looking for daily short tarot readings, check out my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube shorts. If you're looking for personal services or personal readings, I offer them through my website, innercircleguidance.com. Let's find out what the circle needs to know today. We have the Lovers, we have the High Priestess, we have the Ace of Wands, we have the Devil, we have the Knight of Pentacles, we have the Seven of Wands on the bottom of the deck here. Interesting. Okay, so there's a lot of twos here, and it's funny because you're going to be like, no, there's not. There's 1, 2. Actually, there's a lot of twos because on the Lovers card, we have two separate energies here between masculine and feminine energy. We have the literal 2 on the High Priestess, but then the High Priestess is between the J and the B columns, which are two separate energies. And then we have the Devil here, which has two separate energies and being tied to negative mindsets or mindsets that are holding you back. And I've talked about this a lot, about how in this sort of new era of your life or new chapter, that as you elevate your spiritual awakening and you elevate your manifestation, everything has to elevate with it. Your skills, your understanding, your self-awareness, all these different pieces tie into how you end up manifesting and achieving your goals. And what I'm seeing here is a lot of you are still getting hung up on the duality energies, and you're getting hung up on how to balance those two energies, where to draw the line, where to draw healthy boundaries, how to read it, and how to sort of optimize everything so that you're optimizing yourself and your energy so that you are making the biggest impact with your time and your energy and putting it in the places that are going to have the most return. And what I'm seeing here is, and based off of a lot of the questions you all have been asking me as well, is that you're not quite sure how to completely step into that authenticity, and you're not quite sure how to balance these energies or how to do the shadow work to really get you to this next level. It's really funny because you're going to have to bear with me because you're going to get a little confused at first, I think here. It has to do with your choices. And more than just your choices, it has to do with how you unify and how you separate your different energies. And when you learn how to be sort of the messenger between the different energies and be that overall ruling factor and deciding factor, which is what the High Priestess energy is, that's when you will learn how to take the correct actions moving forward that'll unchain you from these problems. It'll teach you to draw the healthy boundaries, and it'll have you moving forward towards maintaining and sustaining growth. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what the heck, Blake? You literally said unify and separate. Those are two opposite things. You're always telling us we need to unify, we need to align, and now you're telling me I have to separate things? What the heck? Let me explain here. So I always talk about how you need to create healthy space for these different pieces of your life. A lot of people seem to be struggling with how you do that. And you do it by creating separation. And a lot of you are going to go, what? How am I supposed to unify by creating separation when you tell me that if I'm separating things, then that's not good? It's how you make the choices and how you go about doing it. So there's a difference between creating space and pretending like something doesn't exist or shoving it down or not feeding it in hopes that it'll just disappear. And it's really funny because a lot of people think that just because you exist in your body and because you exist, that you inherently have this good relationship with yourself. And that is a common misconception, because if you really think about it and you look back on a lot of people, you'll come to realize a lot of people have a terrible relationship with their bodies. They aren't taking care of themselves. They aren't paying attention to their needs of their body. They're not taking care of their health. And it's the same when it comes to our emotional and mental well-being. We often think that just because we exist in our bodies and we exist in general, that our relationship to self just exists and is optimize the best it can be. And that's actually not the truth. You have to actually create that space for yourself. And I keep saying this, create that space, create that space. That space is creating the separation that you need in order to take all the pieces of the different things and put them on the table. So to really put this in perspective and to make this easier, I'm literally going to use the cards as an example. Let's pretend for a second that this entire deck is your well-being, your mental well-being. This is who you are. We have multiple cards though. This could be your emotional well-being. This one could be how you are in relationships. This one could be your creativity. This one could be your physical health. This one could be your allergy to peanuts. All these different cards make up the deck, right? But each card has a different meaning and a different aspect of what that deck means. It's the same when it comes to your personality. And so what happens is that when you are not giving yourself the separation in the space with all the different energies, they all get all muddled up and mixed up and all just like misconstrued. And then you can't read everything because it's just all mixed up. Half of the cards are upside down. Half of them might be right side up. Other ones are reversed. Some of them are backwards. And you're just like, what the heck? How am I supposed to read this? When you go to read a tarot deck, the reason you pull cards is so that you can pull out specific energies and you can look at them separately. And then you can look at them how they're tied together. It's the same with the way you think. It's the same with the way that you treat your relationship to yourself and these different aspects of yourself. So for example, the high priestess and the devil are almost opposites because the high priestess is higher self, higher knowledge. It's the energy of somebody who can go between the different realms and different energies, take the messages needed from them, but then interpret them and be the guardian of those different realms. Whereas the devil is getting caught in one particular mindset that's not exactly serving you and being kind of blind to the different energies at play. So let's say you have these two cards and we have these two energies and you're trying to figure them out. But when they're sitting on top of each other, you can't fully see one or the other, right? It becomes kind of hard to figure out and completely see all different aspects of the card. So what you have to do is you have to take them and separate them, put them down and look at them individually and then look at them together and then figure out what the relationship is and what it should be. It's the same when it comes to your duality energies within yourself. If you want to come into unity, you create a healthy separation in terms of you take the card, you put it down, you look at it, you read it, you figure out the energy, and then you figure out how that energy is tied to the other cards. Then you put it back. When you are not creating a healthy space and when you are ignoring problems and you're not coming into this unity and harmony that I'm talking about, you take the card and you go like this. And you toss them other places. And what happens is those cards get lost and forgotten. And then suddenly, if you want to go pick them all up, you have to go, well, crap, I have one went all the way over there up underneath my chair. One's here on the table. One's over there upside down. And then you have to go chase after all these things to get them reorganized and put them down and acknowledge them again and get used to that energy. If you can learn how to create the separation by allowing your thoughts to exist as thoughts and acknowledging them as thoughts, and acknowledging the energies for what they are, sometimes it's easier to give them a name. If you know that you're, say, I always talk about your saboteur, your inner saboteur, the voice in your head that tends to be negative. If you need to learn how to separate them, first give them a name. And it's easy to do that with emotion because we can say, okay, this is anger, this is love, this is frustration, this is annoyance, this is that. And when you learn to separate those things, you can then figure out how they actually intertwine together and how they interact together and play together. And you're able to listen to this voice, per se, your inner saboteur, and be the messenger that says, okay, I hear you. You're saying you're a big, fat, ugly pig. What that means, though, is actually I'm not happy with the way that I'm treating my body. Maybe I need to start eating healthier. When you start realizing that all these different pieces make you up as the deck, but not every single one defines exactly the reality of who you are and what's actually going on, That's how you create the separation that brings you into unity. Because what happens is I can take then, and you can take then, the messages from the individual cards. Look at that. That wasn't an accident. 10 of Pentacles. 8 of Wands, which has to do with messages. And you can take these different cards and then you're able to take the messages you need from them and leave what doesn't resonate. And so it's funny because I actually wasn't even thinking about putting that as an analogy. That just sort of came to me as I was talking to you all. But it really is true. Being a really great tarot reader for yourself in terms of being able to take those different pieces and putting them out and then flipping them over and then reading them individually and then reading them together and then saying these two mean these two things when they're together. These two mean these two things when they're together. They mean this when they're all three together. That is the separation I'm talking about. And a good way of doing this is journaling every day. Writing down these different thoughts, categorizing them, because what happens is oftentimes the reason why we struggle with these issues is because everything gets all jumbled up in our head. So when we're trying to think, we're looking at the deck like this, okay? And then we're taking little pieces from it. But when you journal, you can take one piece and lay it down, take another piece, lay it down, and then you can analyze it, and then you can go, okay, I get it now. And it becomes a lot more clear because you're not trying to analyze everything at one time and you're not trying to keep it all in one place. When you get it out of your head and you get it out on paper, it's easy to see it as pieces. And it's easy to see it as, okay, I don't actually feel this way. I'm just feeling this way right now because of A, B, and C. Or I'm just thinking that I'm not adequate because I'm worried about failing, or I'm worried about this. And you're able to create that separation in terms of you're able to separate your thoughts and your feelings from what's really going on. And that's where the importance of it comes in, because that's how you come into unity. Because you realize which messages that you're getting from these different energies are accurate and which ones are resonating and which ones are either out of alignment or just frankly completely wrong. And where the heck did that come from? I know we've all had these thoughts before where we're like, why the heck did I think that? But it takes that self-awareness. But in order to be self-aware, you have to create that relationship with yourself. And part of that is learning how to separate the pieces. Because usually what we do with other people is we pick up on the different aspects of people that we see, because we're seeing it as a reflection of that person putting it outwardly towards the world. But for us, because everything's internalized, you have to take it out and put it on the table so that you can view it that way, because otherwise it gets all jumbled up. So part of aligning to your authenticity and breaking down these negative mindsets and coming into unity and harmony and alignment is learning how to separate those pieces that don't align, that are not correct, that are not serving you, that are coming from places of pain or fear or disappointment, and learning what is helping you, aligning with what you want, and what is true to your most authentic self. And that is truly how you do the shadow work. And that is why doing the shadow work and putting in the work is hard, because it's an iterative process. First off, it's peeling back the layers. It happens in stages, and it's something that it can take a while. You can journal on one thing and really have to focus on it for weeks at a time before a major breakthrough comes in and you realize where it's coming from. But if you're not willing to sit there and actually analyze that part of yourself, and you're not willing to give your own self that self-love, that self-care that you need, that's when these other energies and things that you forgot about, the cards that we threw on the floor that were lost and forgotten, suddenly start ruling your decision-making, ruling where you're going in life, and ruling the way you're thinking, and you're unable to feel like you're in control because you have no idea where any of it's coming from. And it's because it's coming from those cards that I threw off the table that you forgot about. And I'm sure in this reading even, you forgot that I still have at least 2 or 3 cards on the floor over there. Your affirmation for this reading is, my thoughts and my feelings are not always an accurate depiction of my reality. And I really want you to try to focus this week on trying to put in the work and the shadow work into getting this alignment and this harmony in these dual energies that we've been talking about, and really learning how to master that. Because when you become a master of yourself and you optimize yourself, that's where everything else comes into play, because everything starts with you. Your manifestations start with you, because it starts with the way you feel and you view the world and how you take action on that. So if you claim this reading, don't forget to like this video. And as always, may your life be full of light, full of love, abundance, and gratitude. I'll see you next time.